in all fairness, what I used to see, and I saw this many times at Nick's, was some poor fuck who had like a couple of TV credits, who thought he was hot shit, and they would go on and they would headline at Nick's, and they would stack the deck, and it would be horrendous. It was you and Lenny and fucking Knox and all these savages would go up, and Boston style comedy where there's no breaks. It's just fucking bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
There's a style of comedy like hey, I know you worked all day. You don't want to hear anybody bullshitting up here. Everybody talks fast and they're fucking funny. And Gavin would go up and murder. And then these poor bastards would go up after them. And just these people with their TV credits, you would see them just be, within 5 minutes, they'd be lost.
They'd be very observational. Have you ever gone to an airport?
Well, they just didn't expect that. They would see three world-class headliners do 15 minutes in front of them.
I'll tell you a funny story about Nick's. Sam Kennison, right? He had been up for a few days, obviously. But anyway, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know the era. So I said, and Sam was a good friend of mine. He was a nice guy when he was straight. He had a dark side, like we all do.
Yeah.
But I said, Sam, this isn't L.A. These guys, Joey the Job and Billy the Front and fucking, you know what I mean? They're sitting up front, and you know how Sam was. And I said, Sam, I'm telling you, these are the wrong guys to piss off.
Yeah.
They had to fire him because, those guys,
they'll kill you.
They don't have any sense of humor.
No. Well, not only that, they don't want to be fucked with.
Yeah,
there's just too. Right. Boston is some of the weirdest people in terms of like the way the rest of the world works. They're ready to fight. There's a lot of people that are ready to fight. They're ready to fight you. They're not going to shoot you or stab you. They're going to beat the fuck out of you.
Right.
And they're going to do it right then and there. And it'll happen anywhere. It'll happen at a restaurant. It'll happen at a bar. It's one of the last places that when we used to tour
things
there.
Are ready to break out.
Well, you would see real fist fights.
Yeah.
Like all the time. Like Ari Shaffir used to say that. Like me and him, we were leaving Faneuil Hall once, and there was a fucking brawl breaking out in front of this McDonald's. And he's like, you fucking people are savages here. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's a different kind of human. It's cold for too much. The women are assholes. Like the men are assholes. Everybody's ready to fight and everyone's drunk. It's a different kind of place.
Well, I grew up in Charlestown, right? They did a movie about the town and all that bullshit. It's a bullshit movie, but anyway, I grew up over there. And you didn't have to win, but you had to fight.
Yeah.
And my record was probably like 2 wins and 30 losses. And then there was a lot of draws because they break it up right away, But there were actual fist fights.
Yeah.
No, one time I'm in the projects, this kid, Davey Latta, he did the one thing you're not supposed to do. He kicked me in the balls.
Oh.
And then everybody jumped and beat the shit out of him. The one thing about kicking people in the balls, too, don't ever miss.
Yeah.
Because then the other guy gets very mad.
It doesn't work as good as people think it does. It hurts.
Really?
It hurts.
Now, were you in street fights?
I started fighting to avoid street fights.
I know
I was scared of street fights. I wanted to fight like as an amateur, like in martial arts tournaments, because I was scared of street fights. It seemed to me to.
They are frightening.
It's fucking terrifying. You never know what's going to happen. People follow you around. You never know when it's going to. I was scared of fighting. That's why I got into it. I did not like that feeling.
Do you remember that day when you're in grammar school and a kid offers you out?
Yeah.
At 8:30 in the morning.
You so think
from
about it all day.
8:30 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. What's that running down your pants? Did you just shit yourself?
Yeah.
And then you're in the schoolyard and they're all circling around you, and it's this whole thing. But my father used to train fighters, boxers, over at the New Garden gym. And me and my brother, we would get into terrible fights. And my father never taught us how to throw a shot or anything. He'd just give us these big, enormous freaking gloves. And
they just let you go to war on each other?
Yeah, it was weird.
Why didn't he teach you? Probably tired from teaching people all day.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Or maybe he wanted us to beat the shit out of each other.
Right.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Maybe you want to just figure it out on your own.
Yeah. Or, I remember coming back and this kid, he beat the shit out of me, Bobby Buckley, and my father said, "What are you doing at home? You got to go back out there." What? You got to go back out and fight him again? I said, "Fucking all right." Yeah, but there's a lot of different ways to be, like in Charlestown growing up. I mean, I grew up with some guys that were like unbelievable. Like, there's a whole moral thing maybe, or a social thing about, say, robbing a bank. I mean, would that ever freaking cross your mind?
No, but that's a Charlestown thing. That's one thing that is true about that movie, The Town.
But what I was in awe of people that would do it. It's like, where do you get the balls to, And I'll never forget this friend of mine, Joey Rocco, who's no longer with us. So I see him up at Government Center. You remember Government Center?
Yeah.
So I see him up there, and he's got like his lunch. And I said, "Joe, how you doing?" And he kind of blew me off. Then I see him a week later. He says, "Hey, Sweens, what's up?" I said, "What's up? You blew me off a week ago." He said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was waiting to rob Crimson Travel, and I had my gun there, and I was interrupting his work." So he came into Nick's Comedy Stop. There was 400 people. I did fantastic. I was like practically a standing ovation, whatever. So Joe's in the audience, right? And so I talked to him afterwards. So there's a number of things he could say, like, "Geez, I liked this show. I didn't like your show. Good for you getting out of Charlestown." He gave me this look. I was like, "Wow, there's got to be a lot of money in here." I said, "You think I'm here to case the joint for you?" It was unbelievable. We used to, part of the thing about Charlestown growing up was you had a shoplift. Did you do that when you were a kid?
I got caught shoplifting candy once.
Candy, yeah. You were bad. You probably were terrified, right, of getting
terrified.
caught?
I got brought into a manager's office. I think I was 12.
Oh, yeah.
I got in trouble.
I was terrible, too. I was so paranoid. But anyway, there was a department store called Jordan Marsh, and my job was to catch the football. They'd throw me the football. I'd catch it and run down Tremont Street. So we've just, stolen a football, right? So that was the gig. So one time I'm up there, and this other kid says to me, "Pick up the end of this canoe." I said, "What?" He said, "Grab the end of the canoe." We're stealing a fucking canoe. Now, so we're walking down Washington Street in Boston with a canoe, right? Now, I don't know where you're from, but it's not a big item in Charlestown, canoes in the projects. You know what I mean? It's like not something you couldn't fence it.
Did you take it to the Charles River?
I don't know what we did with it. You do try to. You end up either giving it away or selling it for like $3.
But that was back then. The river was very, very dirty. I
used to swim in that. Oh. That was what we used to call the oilies because there was so much oil in it.
Yeah, and it's better now though, right? Didn't they clean it up a little bit?
That's what they say. They've cleaned up the whole of Boston. I don't recognize Boston anymore. They got this part of Boston called the Seaport. It's all these big buildings. It's like freaking Dubai. There's no kids. There's no neighborhoods. There's no characters. It's all just gentrified.
Very rich people now, right?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, what is it, like bankers? Like who's got all that money?
That's what I keep asking myself. Who does have all this money?
Yeah, Boston is definitely
But LA's the same way.